Hi everybody, Rob here, out on the back patio, and welcome to this week's Throwback Thursday. Just a quick update, I am back to work, but I'm still not 100% strength, so it's a little difficult to ride the motorcycles and balance them. Puts a lot of strain on my shoulder and the left bicep. So it's probably going to be another week or two before I'm riding the bikes and back on two wheels. In the meantime, I'm going to have to be driving the car. This week's story is kind of sad, but I'm going to also tell you a couple of funny stories to go along with this. This week it's about the passing of a legend in law enforcement in San Diego, and that is my police chief, William Kolender. We called him Bill. He was the police chief when I was hired on. Later, after he retired from being the chief of police, he was appointed the director of the county youth authority by the governor. And then later after that, he ran for election and was elected county sheriff in San Diego. He finally retired mid-term in 2009 and was having problems with Alzheimer's. Spent his last couple of years living in an assisted living home and passed away this last week at the age of 80. He was one of the youngest sergeants ever promoted to the department, one of the youngest lieutenants, one of the youngest captains, and on up the line to become chief. When he became chief, it was during the period of times of some turmoil of the anti-Vietnam War protests, all the race riots and Watts in the LA area, and we had some in San Diego. And when he took over, he changed the whole image of the San Diego Police Department. It went from being a militaristic image to being a more friendly neighborhood cop type of image. He instituted a program that he called community-oriented policing, COP for short. And basically what it meant was he wanted his officers to, talk to people, think before you act, not be so quick on the draw, so to speak, and try to be friendlier. Those of us in the rank and file would call it officer friendly. It was a good program. It had its good aspects, but it also had its drawbacks, because a lot of people looked towards us, that friendly attitude of ours, as being a sign of weakness. And during those first few years of that program being instituted, we had a lot of officers injured and killed because they were slow to react, in my opinion, because of wanting to have that officer-friendly image. But anyways, that program is still in effect. It still works. The good parts about it is it got officers out of their patrol cars and walking around and meeting the people in their neighborhoods. You had officers assigned to a beat. They were responsible for community meetings, neighborhood watch programs, keeping track of crimes that were being committed, and keeping everybody informed of what was going on in their neighborhood. So in those aspects, it was very good. And I was one of those officers that was assigned to beat, and that was my responsibility, to hold those meetings with the neighborhood and to keep everybody else apprised of what crimes were going on, so that we could put a stop to, series of crime waves, and identify spots that were problem spots. So those were good things. He also was responsible for starting the K9 unit, which is still in effect, which is a very good unit. So, he was a very good chief. And from what I understand, he was also very good as the county sheriff. I didn't work under him as county sheriff. I'm sure there are many guys who could tell you good things about what he did there and plans that he instituted there also. But to get to some of the good things, other things that happened, some of the personal things I had with him, back when I got shot at the Cleveland Elementary School sniper incident, my parents learned about that on the car radio when they were out driving around shopping. And they came to the hospital because that was put out, broadcast on the news radio. I had been shot and where I was at. They came to the hospital and were met by Chief Kolender. And he assured them that I was getting the best care possible and I would get the best care possible. And he was a good comfort to my mother and my dad. Later on, he came to visit me when I was in ICU to see how I was doing, make sure I had everything I needed and that I was being well taken care of. And he made sure that after I was released from ICU and got back home that I had people from the department stop by to make sure I wasn't needing anything and everything was okay. And while all that was going on, I guess, they were having a meeting downtown at the deputy chiefs of what they should do, and I guess there were a couple of deputy chiefs that thought I should be fired for foolishly risking my life and running out into the line of fire to try and save those two guys that died. Well, you could look at it like that, yeah, it was stupid for me to leave my place of cover and concealment to run out into the line of fire, into the parking lot to try and save the lives of those two guys that died. But there was always that possibility that I could have saved their lives too. I don't think I could have lived with myself if I had stayed back there cowering behind the bushes and not gone out there to try to do something to help them. Anyways, I found out later on from one of the guys at that meeting that Chief Kolender got a little bit insensitive about that remark and a little enraged about it, and he felt I should be put up for the Medal of Valor for my actions. And that was the next time I met him personally, is when I was awarded the Medal of Valor for my actions that day. Now, one of the funny stories, the next time I met him was when his ex-wife, who lived up in Tierra Santa, she called in to complain that some guy was overextending his 2-hour limit on the tennis court in their gated community. And she wanted him kicked off the court so she could use the courts. Well, I got assigned the radio call, and I got up there and I met her. And I, explained to her that, that 2-hour limit was a homeowners association rule. That was not any kind of law that I could enforce. And then it was a civil matter, and if she had a complaint about that, she'd need to take it up with the homeowners association. The guy on the court claimed that he was only an hour and a half into his time, and that she was, just being a bitch and wanting to push him off the court. So I told her, well, she's going to have to wait. He says he's got another half hour to go. You're going to have to wait and sit here for that half hour to run out. And then ask him nicely to turn the court over to you. And if he don't turn it over to you, there's nothing I can do about it. You call me back out here, I can't force him off the court. That's not a law. You're going to have to take that up with the homeowners association. And I left. Well, she wasn't happy with that apparently, because she called in and filed a complaint against me. That complaint had to be followed up by the sergeant, and I had to explain to him everything that went on. And apparently she didn't like my tone of voice or my attitude. And it finally ended up to the point to where the chief came by to see me when I was out on patrol, and he just wanted to let me know that the complaint was going to be found unsubstantiated, and that he totally understood And then if I ever got another call that was with his ex-wife, to just be as polite as possible, and if she filed another complaint, don't worry about it. It would be found unsubstantiated as long as I didn't do anything wrong. And we had a pretty good laugh about that. Now, the next time I got to meet him personally I was out on patrol on the night shift in the Eastern Division, and we get a radio call comes out over the air that there's a burglary or car prowl going on in the parking lot of one of the restaurants down on Camino del Rio South, just on the south side of Interstate 8, which was not my beat, but it was in my division, my area, which was right across the freeway from my beat. And it turns out that it was, I couldn't remember right if his designation was Unit 1 or Unit 100. It was one of those two, I can't remember which. But anyways, the call came out that, let's say, Unit 100 need 1087 now for 459 on the car prowl in the parking lot. Well, everybody hears, Unit 100, who's that? Well, that's the chief, He needs 1087 now. That's cover now, backup for a car prowl burglary in the parking lot of the restaurant with 2 black male subjects. Well, every officer in the whole area, that division, that was not on a call, that didn't have anything to do, and even those who were in the middle of writing tickets, dropped what they were doing, and we all responded to that call. Well, as we're heading there, they put out the description of the vehicle. The 2 guys jumped in their car and took off. And they ended up getting stopped about 2 miles down the road by a couple of units who did a hot stop on them, took them into custody. By the time I got through traffic and got there, the guys were being arrested, and I showed up at that scene, and the chief was being transported down there to the scene to identify them and, taken back to the restaurant. And we're standing there, and the chief's looking around, and he's got everybody there, all these units there. And he goes, I really appreciate you guys backing me up, but y'all need to get back on your calls, back on the radio, and get back to work. And thanks. So, we did. Well, later on, I was talking to the 2 guys that actually got to make the arrest of the suspects. And I guess the suspects were like, damn, man, you guys make such a big deal out of stealing some hubcaps off a car. Because what they were doing is they were stealing the wire wheel hubcaps, the fake wire wheel hubcaps, off the chief's personal car. And they couldn't believe it. And I guess the officer told them, well, dipshits, you have any idea whose car that was? Well, no. Well, that was the chief of police's personal car you were stealing hubcaps off of. So we all got a pretty good laugh out of that, and he was pretty good about it. He was really pleased with the response for cover now, but it was like, okay, guys, let's all get back to work. So that was just a couple of funny times that I got to meet him personally. And I guess, I didn't work that much downtown after that, so I didn't really have personal run-ins with him a lot. But there were times I'd pass him in the patio area there, when I was down getting my booking slips approved by the sergeant and stuff, and he's always a friendly guy, come up, ask how your night was doing, and, ask about the arrest you made, and congratulate you, and, tell a joke or something, have a laugh. So he was a really nice guy, and it's sad that he passed away, but he had a good long life, and like I say, he was a legend in law enforcement there in San Diego. Was sorely missed. So there you go. That's my stories for this week. Hope you all enjoyed them, and hope you all come back again next week for another story. Maybe next week I'll be riding the bike, be back on 2 wheels. We'll see how the shoulder goes. So bye bye. See you later.